Hello, I am doing a live photo edit of my images from yesterday. If you're following me, you probably know I went and visited the Lupine fields in Sugar Hill, which were just gorgeous. I think after this weekend, it'll be past. It's already kind of at the tail end of it. So if you are thinking about going, go this weekend if you can. Beautiful. Anyway, so what you're seeing on the screen is my Aurora photos from the last time I did a live stream, and I can see comments trickling in. If you are there, you can leave a comment and I should see it. But I'm just going to show you my whole process of how I edit my photos. I have a way of doing it, and I think it's kind of interesting for people. If you are a photographer or just trying to learn more about it. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is import my photos. I don't know if you guys can see the import window. No, so let me show you that. So I just have to be careful with what windows I share, you know what I mean? Like, to be very delicate with that. Okay, so this is my card. It has stuff from the eclipse. That was the last time I used this card. But here are my Lupine photos. And you can see it's not a ton of photos. I was there for probably an hour, maybe longer. I did a lot of phone video and photos. I did a lot of stuff with my GoPro, and then I also did stuff with my actual camera. And I did go to a couple locations. So I have photos from a couple locations, and I don't know, like these days, I don't take hundreds of photos when I'm somewhere anymore. Whoops. So I just select, come on, shift click. Come on, let me do it. Let me shift click. Why? Okay. Can I select this way? No. Let me select all these. Why? Okay, now I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Why I can't select all these by shift clicking. Like what changed? It always used to work that way. All right. So for everyone, so you know, I'm streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X. So wherever you prefer to watch, if you happen to catch me, you can watch there and follow me and subscribe, all that. And I will, let's see, if you leave a chat message, you have a question, comment, or whatever, you can drop that in the chat and I will see that because I'll check that from now on occasion. Okay. So I've got 36 images. What I want to do is these are on the card itself. So you can see importing from Nikon D810. So that's the card. I want to import it into my hard drive. So I'm bringing the photos off the card and onto my external hard drive in the same process as I'm importing into Capture One. Now this is Capture One, not Lightroom. Lightroom works very similarly, but I just don't use Lightroom. I just never learned it when it first came out. I was using Photoshop and I tried to use it and I just didn't like it. So I went and looked into other options, and Capture One is another very a premium professional software. And I just liked how it worked. I just liked it. So I use it and it's a fantastic program. So I'm just kind of showing you a little different software, but a lot of the stuff I'm doing is in Lightroom. And if you have an understanding of Lightroom, you will know what I'm talking about when I say these things. But if you're trying to learn Lightroom, I'm not the person, but you can watch and see what you think. So anyway, here I'm importing from the card, importing to, I have to choose where I'm importing to. So it says copy to folder. So it's basically, yes, it's copying the RAWs to a folder of my choosing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And oh, you guys can see my folder. I'm going to kind of just remove that so you guys don't see my folders. Okay. I am just doing that. Not that I have much to hide on here, but you never know. Like I could do something stupid. So I have my import folder. Hold on, I'm just going to change that again because I like to put the RAWs into their own little special folder. so they don't get jumbled in with everything. Okay, so now I'm going to add this back. There we go. All right, so if people who are watching happen to catch me live, feel free to drop your comments, questions about photography. I'm talking photography and the initial phase of importing, and I'm going to go through and just show you my selection process, how I edit off the bat. I don't do a lot. I try and get most of what I want to do in camera. And then the editing process, which I don't really like. I don't like it. The part I like about photography is sitting there in the bushes, getting eaten by bugs and taking the picture. So I try and make it the least I have to do on the computer as possible. That is my methodology, my raison d'etre for photography. Okay, so you can see I have created a raw folder that I'm now importing these raw files to. So from the card to my folder on my external hard drive. Do not import RAWs onto your computer. Don't do it. Get external hard drives. I use the cheapo ones from Walmart because I'm cheap, but you can get like really nice ones and then also have the backups of those hard drives. Backblaze is a good one for that, but there's others. All right, any questions you have along the way, let me know. Naming, I come in here and I rename the files at this point of import. So I keep the image name and you know what, I'm just gonna keep the image name. There's no need to add anything else. When I am doing a sequence, meaning I have multiple cameras and I need to keep them in sequence and I have them in synced. So every time you start a project and you have multiple cameras, if they're the same camera or different models or whatever, you always want to have your date and times synced before you start shooting. And so at this point, when I'm importing is when I would add the date and time. And I might actually add the date. I'm going to add the date because stuff gets moved around. I want to make sure I have the date. So I'm going to go down to, can you see this? Yes, okay. I'm going to go down to image date here. And I want year, month, day, because I want year, month, day. That's what I want because that's how the sequence will go. Because if 2024 is the year, if you have it by day, it gets out of sequence. So anyway, just trust me on that. Year, month, day. Oops. Year, month, day. I'm kind of want to get this done quickly, so I'm rushing through things. But if you have questions about anything I'm doing here, I'm happy to explain it more. Okay, so I have the original image name, and then I have the naming will include the year, month, and day the photo was taken as well. I think I can just drag this, see, and put it first. Let me edit this again. I want to let me edit this. This is giving me problems now. There we go. So I want to put an underscore in between. Oh, let me just do it. I'm telling you, if there's a bug with a program, I will find it. I will find it. Okay, reset. Edit. Let me edit this. Oh my God. I just I'm telling you, if there's a bug, there we go. Okay, now I have my cursor back. There we go. That's all I was trying to do, put a space in between. So now I have year, month, day, image name. Okay, here, copyright, make sure your name's in there. Then I'm gonna just customize the description. Sugar Hill, New Hampshire, Lupine, Fields. This is keywords, you know. Fields and Bloom, 2024. And then I always put photographed by, I always put my name in there. And auto adjust, you can turn that off. You can apply styles at import, but I typically don't bother with that if I'm doing a very mass import of like a huge session, I might do auto just because then it's one less thing I have to do. But this is a smaller session, so I can go in and already tweak these at the individual level pretty quickly. All right, then I click import. Now what? Oh, shoot. I did that wrong. I'll share this. Hold on. See, I'm in a hurry and I'm rushing through this, but it's okay. I'll show you what you do when you mess things up like this. So I didn't import these into a collection. I like to keep collections. So I have a collection for the solar eclipse. I have a collection for New Hampshire. And so what I'm going to do is while this is working, it's importing right now. I'm going to create a new project inside this group. And I'm going to put Sugar Hill, Lupine there. And then I'm going to put a album inside there. Call it images. And then what I need to do, I have the import here. So I'm just going to select all these that just imported. And I'm going to drag them into this album. There we go. So now they're there. So I fixed that. Now here is where I can go through and just kind of go through these. And there's people wandering around, so you'll see people in there. But sometimes I just take the photo anyway, and I can always just, use the healing tool or whatever to get them out of there. And so just looking at these different ones, people in them, anything that just kind of jumps out to me. See, I like this one. This was one I remember taking, and I liked it because the white ones here are sharp, but you kind of get the idea of all these flowers. Oh my God, my sensor. Look at this. Dude, look at this nightmare, my sensor. Holy crap. What is going on, dude? That's insane. What? I've never seen it that bad. I have no idea what happened. That could be pollen when I changed the lenses. It's hard to tell that there's so much pollen in the air. When you're out there, you can of course, smell the flowers, but there's a ridiculous amount of pollen. That's crazy. I wonder if that's from changing the lenses. Could be. Wow. So I just scroll through these. I kind of like these better. This is with the lens baby, so you get that really cool soft focus effect. Just trying to isolate these. I really like that. It gives you that impressionist painting look. Now, look, this is straight out of camera, guys. I haven't touched these images. So framing, leveling, getting the composition you want, the lens effects, exposure. I typically underexpose, so I will be correcting for exposure a little bit. But you can see I'm not far off from where I need to be on most of these photos. White balance, that's something I let the camera decide. And just going through these. This is again with the lens baby. I'm putting out a video of my preparations for this trip and everything, and I'm like, oh, I need to edit the photos first so I can show those at the end of the video. So I'm like, okay, I'll just jump on and do the edit real quick and pick out some of my favorites. So this is what I do first. I just scroll through everything. This is 36 images, so I'm just going to scroll. Okay, now I've looked at everything. I go back to the top, and now here's where I go in and be like, okay, I'm going to select my favorites. And I just go in, and the number 5 gives me 5 stars. So first round through, I just give everything that I like 5 stars. And I'm very picky, and I have a specific style that I like. When I'm out in the field, I tend to shoot like what I think people will like. I don't know why, but eventually I get to the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm shooting what I actually like. And I don't like wide angle. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like wide angle. I don't like how it looks. I don't like it. But I do it. And look at me. The first shot I took was a wide angle I don't know. I don't like it. Like, it's a beautiful photo and we can edit it and stuff. If people want me to edit this, I will, but I don't like it. I don't like how it looks. I don't like anything about it. It's pretty. But it's just not, this isn't my style. This is not what I like. So I'm not going to spend time on these. This one I like a little better because we get some sort of movement through the scene with the path. So I do like this one better. I might even consider giving this a rating. I might, because that's the only one of that I took. It's still, I don't necessarily like this much, but I got some foreground, I got some midground, I got something to bring me through the photo, and I've got something in the background. Like, there's a lot of interesting things going on in this photo, so I don't hate it. So I'm going to hold on to that. But there's some things I don't like about it, but well, you know. And again, this is with the wide angle. I'm ignoring the person there. It's photobombed, but that's, I can look at this objectively and know that I can remove that person. But do I like this enough to want to do that extra work? Not really. There's nothing special happening here that's wowing me. I like this. I like this one. Why do I like this one? Because I've got foreground. Again, the flowers are taking me through the scene into the background. So I'll put a 5 on that. Do I like that one better? Now this is when I have the same shot, right? A couple times. So I just moved the camera, I changed the exposure, I did something here. Do I like this one better? And we're looking at some changes. So this exposure changed, the framing changed slightly, right? I just kind of moved the camera a little bit. So which one do I like better? I kind of like this one better. And you may be like, oh, but it's not as crystal clear or it's not as bright or whatever. This is exposure is exposure. I can make those adjustments, no problem. I'm looking at what I'm looking at here in the preliminary here is the composition, the overall, like what I'm seeing here, the framing, the potential of this photograph. What do I need to do to make it better? Is this a project that's going to take me several hours, or is it something that like I'm pretty much there? It just needs a few little tweaks. That's what I'm thinking about when I go in and culling. This is called culling. You're going through and culling your photos. Okay, so this one I kind of like, but not really. It's not the parts I want to be sharp aren't sharp enough for me. This one's better, and we got the dude in there, and I will not be able to save that. I'm not, this photo is not enough for me to fix that. And I don't mind people being in my photos. I actually kind of like it. I forget that I like it, and so I don't shoot it that often, but I actually do like it when people are in my photos, even if it's just like people wandering around. So I'm going to skip this one. And you're welcome to drop comments or questions if you have anything about my process here. All right, this one I hate. Everything about it except for the lens choice. Okay, this one, no. 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 See, this is better. But I only did 2 versions of this. And I, you know, the bug factor, there were a lot of bugs and stuff out here. And so you kind of like set up a shot, you take it, and you want to get out of there kind of thing. It's a mental game. No, I don't like that one. This one I like. But can I make it work? Do I like it enough? I almost feel like Canon is too distracting in this image. I like the flow of it, but it's interesting. Like, it would be a good background for like a banner or something. You know, so this could be something that I could use for an overlay, like put text over this. So I'm thinking about using it for something other than just being like a pretty photo that I show. So I'll mark that one. Oh my God, look at these sensor spots. Look at these. I mean, that's just a lot of work right there. Oh God, I have to clean my sensors. That is brutal. That is brutal how bad those are. But that's because I'm using, this is that manual focus lens that I love, and I used it for the solar eclipse. It's just so sharp. It's like too sharp for its own good. Because I could have my other lens. You won't see these because it's not as sharp as this lens. It's just incredible. It's so sharp that the dust on the sensor is almost as sharp as the image. But I do like the framing of this, and it's an interesting image. The background to me isn't interesting enough. It has potential. So something that I think has potential, I'll give 3 stars. It's like, I'm not going to work on it right now, but if I go through the ones that I really like and it's just, I still have, I'm not feeling good about it, I will go back and these 3 stars will be like, okay, these are my second tier picks. Okay, keeping and going. Okay, and this is a better exposure. It's not a better framing though. And why do I say that? Because look at this, right? I'm using my finger like you can see that. So this flower here, it's too close to the edge on this photo. And I could, using AI tools or whatever, make that edge better. But here it's perfect. The framing's perfect. And all I have to do is adjust the exposure. I still have all the data. I can show you the histogram. I can tell by looking at this, but we can look at the histogram on this. Here's the curves. I still have all the data, even though it's underexposed clearly by the histogram. I still have all the data here. So I'm not losing anything by adjusting the exposure. Here, same thing, I still have all that. So this one, I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, we'll come back. That's good. Okay, these, I just don't like them. I don't like these. I don't like this one. The path is there. I think I was trying to use the path. If I had somehow had the path nowhere defined, I'd like that better. This I like. This one I like. Did I take multiple of the same? So here we're kind of just it's almost at standing height. I probably am standing, and I think I handheld this because I didn't want to unload the tripod again. And then this one is just cropping out the sky. So when I see something like this, it makes me want to go back at it and look from this point of view. This one's better because of the foreground. The foreground here is just terrible. There's just too much of this negative space that's not doing anything. It's not adding to the image. It's not doing anything. This could be an interesting, maybe black and white or something, but of these 2, let me see, did I take another one? No, I just did 2. So this one I will do 5 stars because I actually really like that. I like that human structure in there. I think the crop and framing needs to be slightly different. I want to play around with that, but we'll come back to that in the next round. See, now looking at this again, I like this. It's just not right. It's just not. I'll put it as a 3. This, I love this. This is what I love. I love this. Now, how many of these did I do? Okay, so I did 2 horizontals. This one is better than this one. You know why? Because of that blue sky peeping through the tree line. It doesn't help. It distracts your eye from the flower. So this is the better one. I like this one a lot. And it's funny because I felt like I wasn't getting this shot. And it's the first one I took of it, and it's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. Because that's no good. And these aren't that good either, the verticals. And I knew it, so I only took 1 of those. I was like, no, this isn't working. Because you can't have the sky in there. It's just too bright. Your eye will always be drawn to the brightest part of a photo first. That's one of the things. So it's important to keep that in mind when you're culling here. And I try to, when I'm doing landscape photography, do these different variations because there can be exceptions to this. Like if the light was coming in just right here and really lighting up that flower, that pink lupin, then it may be brighter than the blue sky. And so in that case, it wouldn't really matter. It would actually be an interesting triangle kind of pointing towards the flower, bringing your eye in. So it's not always the rule. Because this shape, this triangle shape is actually a very good shape to have in art. You know, there's nothing wrong with this triangle. It's just that it's brighter than the actual flower. And could I make those adjustments in Photoshop and stuff? Yeah, I could do that. If I fell in love with this image, I could take that in and do those changes to make it how I'm envisioning right now. Okay, and now this is here, the lens baby. I like this because I like this. I'm just going to say that. But I think I like this one better because the edge of this, I'd have to crop that out because it's just distracting. So I like this one better. Now, did I do this again? No. So I'm going to put a 5 on that one. And I can zoom in and show, you know, it doesn't, this is a f-stop is pretty wide open. So that's why it's not sharp, but I like it. Okay, now we have the verticals of this. No, I just did one vertical. And you can see that swirling effect. It's almost more pronounced when you do a vertical around the edges. So it's still there in these horizontals, but I don't know, something about these verticals. It looks more like a motion blur to me. Oh, we got Becky in here. Hi, Becky. Sorry, I wasn't monitoring the chat. I was just on my rant. You like the vertical? Okay. Yeah, I like it too. I'm just going through and culling, and I'm going to put the chat up here so I can see it, so I can see your messages while I'm editing here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. Hi. I'm going to just show Becky saying hi. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so let's see. I like it. I think I'm just in a horizontal mood. So I'm going to put that as a 5-star as well. And then here I have more of the horizontals of this same idea. And so I'm comparing it to this one. It looks like I used a different exposure on this. I'm not sure if I adjusted the f-stop. This is a manual focus lens, so unfortunately that data doesn't come in. You can see my my settings, camera settings are displaying on the bottom left of each image, so you can follow along there. But you'll see that these 2 dashes means that the data didn't come through from the lens. So that includes the f-stop because it's an actual manual f-stop. And then the focal length does not come in because, again, that's manual as well. All right, so that's why that's there. But now it's hard for me to tell. Did I change the f-stop on this? I don't think so. It looks to me like it's the same f-stop. I just adjusted the shutter speed to make it a little bit darker. Why? I don't know. I think maybe the sun came out or something. Let's see, which do I like better? I kind of like this one better because it's not dead center. And this is a little bit less like, hey, I'm going to go with this one as my 5-star, and this one is better than this one and guess this is just my opinion. And because when I see my work, I know what I like and what I was trying to do when I was taking the photo and what I like about it. Whereas someone else can look at all of these, like these are all the image, every image I took is here. I didn't delete anything. It's all here. So someone else looking at these might have a different opinion on what they like out of my work. But, it's mine. So I'm going to put out what I like because I want to represent my style and how I do things. So, yeah. And perfect. Yeah. We're going to keep going here. So now this is the lens baby as well. And for a macro lens, it's a very affordable lens. So you can do like really cool artistic effects with it. And then you can do macro with it. So it's like awesome without having to buy a $800 macro lens. You know, it's not ideal, but I think it does a really great job. And, you know, I like, it's okay. This here, a little bit better. The flowers were pretty interesting. I never really got so close to these flowers before to really see how they look. And it is an interesting flower. So this is just, I think when I am using the Lens Baby, and you can do this with any manual focus lens and even autofocus lenses, when you're using macro and hand holding. I was hand holding. And when you're hand holding and you're doing a macro lens, you want to, I almost bracket the focal length. And I mean that by like, I'm not adjusting the focal length physically. I'm adjusting I'm bracketing my distance from. So when you're hand holding macro, even the slightest like little bit forward or back can throw different parts of the image in and out of focus. So I almost do like click, 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 click as I move. And then that way I get something like this, which is a few inches across in depth, right? As I move closer and farther away, that focal point, that point of sharpness, depth of field of the image will change. And so that's what I was doing here. So this one is just a little bit, different parts of the image are sharper. If you look closely, I can zoom in here so you can really see. You can see that subtle difference. So, whoops. So this image, you can see this part of it is sharp. Here, the focal point is a little bit further ahead. So this petal is sharp. You see, and then at 100%, whoop, show me 100%. Oh, they changed some of the shortcuts in Capture One. So here it's very subtle. You almost don't see it, right, at 100%. Okay. So these ones are okay. I think they're kind of interesting. I don't think they are particularly beautiful, stunning, you know, a stopper on a feed, or anything that appeals to me that much. So I'm going to just bypass those. I do like them. They're interesting subjects. I almost would like to, looking at this now again, maybe next year I'll do this, is like really zoom in and do a really intense macro shot on these flowers, because they are very interesting looking, right? And I don't think I know what inside there looks like, or what the petal and all that looks like. So that might be a fun thing to do. Okay, so here's just more studies of the individual flowers in the field. So here, this is the Lens Baby, but you'll see that the blur effect is less. I have a higher f-stop, so a wider focal plane. So there's definitely more detail. It's much sharper. And same thing here. I really like this one. So the sun came out and I was walking back, leaving the field, and the sun came out, and I was like, oh, I didn't get any pictures of them backlit, because I think when I'm in a scene and the sun comes out, I kind of want to get it from every point of view being lit. But lighting straight on is kind of boring. So backlit is a secret weapon. So just get that sun in front of you. So the sun's like, you know, it's coming in like a 45-degree angle and hitting the back of the flowers from my perspective. And then of course I'm cropping out the sky and the sun, so I'll get less opportunity for lens flare. Because that's the thing that you always see. Lens flare is pretty cool in video. I actually really like lens flare in video. I think it adds interest. but in a static image, it can, you have to really have that as a decision, whether you're going to have lens flare. But I really like the framing of this. It has that triangle shape that you always want to look for in photographs, and it kind of leads the eye. And then we have this beautiful light coming in. So I really like that one a lot. Let's see if I took a couple of those. Nope, just one. That's the last image. Take the shot, put everything away, done for the day. Love that. All right. So next thing I would do is I go to my library here, and I'm in my project, and I'd create a smart album. So I just do a smart album, call that Picks, and I do a preset, and I do 5 stars, and those are my picks, and then I click OK, and now I can go in here, and here are the ones that I chose to edit, so I can kind of be more focused on just the ones I want to edit. Let's see. Let's get into it. Which one should I edit? That last one, that was cool, right? I'm just going to do one here live, and then I don't know, maybe something a little bit more. This, I mean, it's like the reason why this jumps. Oh, there's a mosquito or something there. This one might be a more interesting one to edit because it's kind of flat. The sun's behind a cloud here. That's the difference. I mean, this is only a few steps away from this, you know, so paying attention to what the sun's doing, what the sky's doing. First thing I will do with this is I want to see what cropping it looks like. And I kind of want to crop it in from this side, because over here, there's nothing happening over here for me. It's kind of distracting. If I close that in, I am already liking that better, but then it creates other problems. So I don't know. I might not be able to crop it, because what I'm looking at is the skyline. And when it's just a little peak like this, like the framing of this image is beautiful here, but this little peak of the skyline, it's distracting. I'm so picky when it comes to this stuff. So I almost might just leave it that way. I just don't like it. Maybe if I crop it from the bottom. That's almost better. And I'm staying in with the within the proportions of the original photograph. I can change the dimensions. I can make it whatever I want. I can click unconstrained here, and I can just crop to exactly something like this, you know. That's perfect, right? Almost something like that. That's like, to me, a perfect picture, you know. So I could just do that. Why don't I just do that? I don't know. It would make my life easier, wouldn't it? Because of the sky in this. Oh, maybe I'll just do that. I don't normally do this kind of thing. Now, what dimensions would this be? This would be a 16 by 9, pretty much. So that's nice. I like that. I'm going to just adjust this a little bit like that. Okay, so I kind of got a crop that I'm happy with, and I'm going to then do adjustments. And the first thing is the white balance is using in-camera settings for white balance. So I go ahead and just do an auto white balance and see what the computer program decides. And for me, this looks a little bit blue, too blue, and I can go back to what the camera decided. I think the camera was definitely closer on this. And again, this is all perceptions of what I'm seeing on the screen. What it looks like on your screen is probably different than what I'm actually seeing. And then, of course, that will always be different than what is printed in that output. So these are all considerations. So I would, you just with all these different outputs and variations that we cannot control, you want to just try and find that happy middle and be okay with it being, maybe it's a little bit too yellow on this person's screen, or it's a little bit too blue or green on this person's screen, or a little red on this person's screen. But if we find that happy medium where we have that leeway and we can be like, this is a strong image and the colors may not replicate exactly, but we can still get that like middle zone. So that's what I'm going to be shooting for when I look at the colors on this. And I'm going to actually just warm up the white balance a little bit to give it that warm image. So I can go ahead and show you what I just, the before, whoops, and the after. So it just warms that up. It's giving it a glow that was there. You know, I'm being authentic to what it looked like there. It was like a hazy glow. And even with that just little touch, the image seems a little bit more dynamic already. Exposure on this looks pretty good. That would be the next thing I would look at. Sometimes I just for fun like to see what the computer thinks. And now to me, this just looks overexposed, just from my eye. And then when I go back, now I look like, okay, maybe this is underexposed. So maybe I do need to find the happy middle and just brighten this up a little bit. And another thing I can look at here is my histogram will help me. But I just like to kind of eyeball it up here with these tools. And then I get really fine-tuned when I go into my curves or levels or wherever you go. So here I'm just trying to find that like, okay, this is where I need to be. And that I think is good. Contrast, brightness, saturation, I try not to touch. All those things can be adjusted, I think, with presets or styles versus the initial edit. And I'm not huge on adding styles or presets. Sometimes I get into that and I like to do that. But if I do, it's just going to be a subtle touch. Dynamic range, this is where I will definitely play with the sliders to, if I need to get more highlight data. So for example, if there was a lot of sky, for example, I would want to rescue that highlight data. So they've changed how these sliders work. So it used to be you went all the way up to bring back highlight data, but now you go all the way down. So you can see when I make those adjustments, it removes some of that, the little bit of dynamic light that there is in the image. It just kind of gets rid of it. So I will, leave that at 0. So I still have that glow of light. And then if I play around with the shadows, you can see this bringing a lot more of the darks in really makes this image pop. Really, you can see it, right? But I'm not going to go extreme like this with these sliders. These sliders, you want to make subtle tweaks. Very rarely do you want to slide everything to the side, even though that looks really good. I'm going to go somewhere in between, and then I'm going to make the additional tweaks with my curves. Black point and white point, there's no point, pun unintended, to use those personally, unless we are trying to rescue something that's beyond repair, beyond help. Okay, so from here, I would go to either levels or curves. I like working with curves. And what I'll do here is I'll just bring my highlight my white point, which is the top right, and I will find where the data starts without blowing out anything. So here it's about here. And then from there, if I need to adjust the black point, I will do that. It looks like it's very slightly, because of the changes. It's very hard to see I'm doing anything. Okay, here we go. Right about there. And then my middle gray, midpoint, I want to just bring that down back to the center. Sorry, I have to squint to see. Oh, this is looking good, right? Whoo! Beautiful. Just these little delicate tweaks. this is why you never want to go extreme on anything, because if you have a good image, it doesn't take much to get you there. It's about getting it in camera, right? And then here I can experiment with an S-curve. So bringing the highlights up more, the mid-tone highlights, and that will bring down the highlights in the shadows, or the shadows, excuse me. It will darken the mid-tone shadows, this part. So I can tweak that more if I want. And we have a light S-curve. And I think that just makes those colors pop. It really adds some interest to this image. And we have a bright here, we get our eyes drawn there, and then our eyes get drawn to this bright point in the back, which I love. And the fence post is a little bit of a disruptor. And then we've got some more things drawing our attention in the back and in the foreground. So our eyes are all over the place. I really like how this turned out. And I honestly wouldn't do much more here. I could add a style of some kind to make tweaks, but I'm not going to do much to this. And for everything that happened in this same area, I could apply these same settings that I just did. If I had done something in the same area with the same lens and the same settings, I can copy these settings and apply them to the other images. But I'm really happy with this, and I hope this video is helpful for editing your images. Now this is, again, I'm using Capture One for editing, but Lightroom is another great program, and a lot of the things that I've done in here, the settings will be very similar, or not settings, but the sliders and how the tools work will be very similar. So don't be afraid to take what I'm doing in this video and try and apply it in Lightroom if you're more familiar with that program. I know majority of people use that. So thanks so much for watching. Is anyone watching have any kind of a question or anything like that, or want to see me do another image? I'm happy to edit these live. But I was just going to put on a podcast and listen to that and mow through these. So unless someone out there wants me to, I can do another one. If you're curious, any of these I can go through and edit. If there's one there that stands out to you, you want to see me do, I will do that. But otherwise, I will leave it at that, and be on the lookout in the next day. I'm going to try and get actually up tonight is the video of my process of my trip yesterday, going to the fields and all that stuff. So be on the lookout for that wherever you're watching. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. It was great to see you, and have a great day.